Hey, what's up, guys? Zach here with Racing Sim Tools. Today we're going to be doing some setup work on the Lexus RCF at Imola. It's going to be really fun. We did a race here at Imola for the driver invite split at RCI a few months back, right after 1.6.6 came out live. We were pretty consistently in the 43s, so maybe high 42s. So that's pretty good pace around here. We're going to see if we can do the same in the Lexus. I'm going to be starting with the Silverstone setup that we just relaunched. We were super happy with those setups, and there's actually a pretty big correlation with Silverstone and Imola. So a lot of those setups work pretty well. There will be some tweaks required. Typically, we go a little less aggressive on an Imola setup. But I figured, we're going to stream it. If you guys have any questions on RST or anything, let me know. Right now, we're just going to do some laps, get consistent. Just going to get used to the car. And then once I'm within a 10th or two, we'll start working on the setup. We do have a baseline setup right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and load that up real quick. Like I said, it's just the Silverstone setup. I'll just do a few laps here and see how it goes. Nice thing about having practice offline servers, you don't have to worry about the pit lane entry. And I need to adjust my dash, so 1 second. Shift RPM's like right at 7.6, so sorry about that, guys. Gonna mess me up if my red lights aren't going off though. Hey, what's up, Flavio? How's it going, man? Hopefully you're doing well. We're just gonna get some laps here, guys. We're just gonna see tire pressures. Always start with the tire pressures, and we're just gonna try to get consistent here in this car. Lexus is an awesome car. Game definitely favors the front wheel cars a little bit more than the mid engines, and as far as curb handling goes. Which in this game, you guys will see, you can really attack that final chicane. There's a lot of time to be had there. If you guys have any questions about RST or anything like that, let me know. Try to read the chat as much as I can. And let me know if the stream looks okay or if the sound's messed up. Still getting used to the game settings after getting the 3090. Probably should wait till the tires heat up just a bit before we start pushing. Tire pressure is still pretty low right now. So for those of you guys that are wondering, temperatures are 24C ambient, 28C track. We try to keep these settings for all of our setups, just so that the tire pressures are more or less set for you guys. And these are pretty moderate conditions. You will get a little bit more time if you go down on the ambient temperature. Still a little low in the pressure, but we'll try to start attacking just a little bit here. Want to really get on this inside of the power nice and early for the turn 2. This is the trickiest turn up here, though. The response is a little bit high for me right now. I just really feel the car wanting to turn in. A little bit too twitchy for me right now. Again, we're just trying to get the laps consistent here. But still thinking about the setup, still thinking about the behaviors I don't like. So we can start thinking about how we're going to address those. Tire pressure is looking okay. A little bit low in that front left, though. Tire temp's still good, though. You can just see how much curb you can attack in this game. That's crazy. They really need to model underfloor damage for people to not abuse that little sausage curbs like that, because you would never do that in real life. Yeah, response is a little too. I think we're gonna first thing we'll probably do is decrease the rear rake just a little bit, rear ride height just a little bit aggressive, I think, on the turning. All right, 43.9, not too bad. Target is high 42s. Broke way too late there. I'm gonna try moving the brake bias forward just a little bit for now, just to help me on the responsiveness in the turning tree. Feels really nice through there though. That's the nice thing about the Lexus is the weight distribution is like really nice on it. I don't know if you guys can see my tire temperatures, but the front is 90 and the rear is 92. So you don't really have that issue you have with cars like the Audi where you're, you know, overheating the rears and maybe a little too cool in the front. Really nice even temperature profile front rear. Alright, let's do another lap and then I might just go ahead and decrease the rake just a little bit. And obviously tell there's an issue there. It's crazy how much a curve you can take on the inside there. Car sounds absolutely fantastic too. I love this car. I think the Lexus is probably one of my favorite cars in the game actually. Tire pressure's looking really good though. Broke way too late there. Okay. So moving the brake bias forward really affected that turn one brake distance. You can see I was going really deep there now, probably engaging the ABS a little bit too much. So normally I wait to get really consistent, but obviously the setup needs a little bit of work on the rake here. So we're gonna go ahead and just drop it just a little bit here, just to get us to where we need to be, and then we'll work on bringing that response back. But I can't just do it with the brake bias like I was trying to, because it was kind of my turn one braking distance. So I just went ahead, dropped it a little bit on the rear just to bring out some of that response. Like I said, the response on corner entry was way too strong. And when you have a really strong corner entry like that, what happens is you have to be very precise. And I am not the most precise steering input. You can ask Speed, you can ask Nils. I'm very aggressive on steering, so need a little less response into it. And I can already tell this makes a huge difference. Car feels a lot better for me. Probably get a little less temperature in the rears now too by decreasing the rear height. Less load transfer on the rear should help. So there isn't. I've actually been trying to work with Kunos. So the actually no, we could add that off Levio. Sometimes you can see by looking at the wheel slip graphs. Sometimes you'll see like the jaggedness of it, where the ABS is starting to kill the torque on the front. We do get an ABS channel from ACC, so maybe we could look into adding like annotations on the graph when the ABS is kicking in. It's something I don't really look in the graphs because on my dash I have LEDs on the side of the dash, and when it kicks in I can see it obviously on track. But that's actually a pretty good idea, so we'll look at adding that. I think I went a little bit too much on the rear right height now, so maybe not as aggressive as I normally would like it. So let's just get the lap times down, get a standard deviation so we get a good baseline here, and we'll start tweaking. Yeah, look at that. Way better torque turn one. Needs more preload. Every time I get off the brake, it wants to kill me. Funny thing is, I did the Ferrari setup here, and that car is an absolute beast. Like, it's so quick here. This produces so much downforce. Insane. Yeah. So the dash I'm using was the one that we were partnering with Turn to make, and unfortunately the guy just got really shady. But I love the dash. It's really cool. We did all the software for it, but like I said, when you work with other people for deals, they sometimes go south, and that's what happened. All right, pressure's looking pretty good. I think I need a little bit more on the front left though. It's a little low. Same on the rear left. Hey, what's up, Nico? How's it going, man? Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I'm using a 3090. I'm using Streamlabs OBS, so that might make a difference. But yeah, the 3090 really helps with the performance in ACC. ACC is just not super optimized performance-wise, so you got to throw a lot of hardware at it. Yeah, the Mclaren is super strong here too. Flavia. Every time. Losing the rear right there. Didn't lose too much time there, but definitely needs more preload. We'll look at the data though for that corner. Alright, we're up a little bit here. Nice. There we go, boys. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, the Ferrari and the McLaren are pretty interesting. In terms of like weight ballast, they're pretty similar. The main difference between the two is the McLaren has a little bit more conservative aero approach, so they have a little bit more rear downforce through the underbody, whereas the Ferrari has a ton of front downforce. It has a lot of rear downforce too, but it's more aggressive. It's more towards the front. So you get a really nice turn in, but you got to be able to drive it, because corner exit you'll get a little loose sometimes. That's pretty good. 42.8. That's pretty quick. Let's do another lap. I want to get consistent with that time, but that's a really good time. Like I said, there's a pretty strong correlation between Silverstone and Imola setups. So that being said, if you guys don't want to wait for the Imola setups, you can get the Silverstone setups now, and those are a really good place to start from. They'll give you like a 90% solution, most likely. Oh, there we go. 2 tenths. Yeah, the transition from turn 3 to 4 just needs work. A little bit more preload will definitely help. I can tell when I'm heavy on the brake, I'm okay. Once I start to let off the brake, I can feel the differential unlocking. And that's giving me more rotation on that mid corner, and that's kind of throwing me off just a little bit. Same right here. As soon as I start lefting off, it's a little bit light. And I tell it, the track limits of this track are insanely sensitive. If you hit that outside curb at all, it just invalidates. So at Imola, one of the really big things that you really want to be focused on is that final chicane. Because there's no underfloor damage, you can really attack it. And if you run too low, or if you run too stiff, your wheel compliance won't be very good. And what will happen is you'll hit that curb like that, like I've been doing it, and you'll just fly off. So let's do like 2 more laps, guys, and then we'll make a few more tweaks. Definitely want to try that preload adjustment. We'll look at it in the data too, just to make sure I'm not full of it. Sometimes when you're driving, it's not the best time to diagnose issues. You just can sense the behavior, right? That's what data is all about. And it's really nice in that corner though. Usually that's a corner that has a lot of issues. Like the Ferrari really struggled for corner exit grip there. One second, Nico. Let me get on the straight and I'll read your comment. It says Lexus seems to cope with a chicane. One second. I'll read that. Cope with the chicane right now. It's not AMG decent, but still. Yeah. So that's a really good question, Nico. And that actually is a lot of the front engine cars. The Lexus, the AMG, the Aston Martin, and the Bentley all do really well here at Imola because they're really able to attack that final chicane. You really don't get that same in the mid-engines. You can definitely alleviate, like, you know, reduce the issue. You know, softening the springs, going lower ARB, just adding more wheel compliance into there, right? But it's never going to be as good as the front engine cars. And it's not very good at all in the Porsche. There's a lot of weight in that rear. Alright, let's do one more lap, guys, and then we'll make a tweak here. Pretty consistent, low 43s, high 42s. So this next turn, 3 and 4, is where I'm really curious about making some improvements. Of course, I do pretty well there, but I can just feel a little loose when you are between 3 and 4. Tire pressure looks pretty spot on too. Temperatures are perfect, 91 front, 91 rear. It's always so weird attacking the chicane like that. You guys notice I'm not using any gloves today. I got a new tattoo and I'm terrified to put the gloves on because they go up on my forearms and I don't want to get my new tattoo infected. But that's the main reason I'm not wearing gloves, if you guys are wondering. Alright, we're pretty consistent here now. We're pretty consistent 43 flats. Let's go back. I want to watch the replay real quick. Replay is a really good way to identify certain things. But I just want to see the body language of the car between 3 and 4. Just to see if we see any pitching or anything like that. We can still look at the data, obviously, but sometimes it's just nice to get a quick picture by looking at the car. Do here. Just go. I'll show you, Flavio. Just 1 second. Let me look at here. I'm gonna slow her down. And let's see what's going on here. So we're coming in turn 3. On the brakes. Hit this inside curb off the brake. And you can see it got a little loose on me there. Alright, that wasn't too bad though. Let's see the lap before that. Same on the brake. Hit the curb. Yeah, I'm getting a lot better to control it. Look at another lap before. Okay, I will. 1 second, Flavia. All right. Curb. You can tell it's just a little responsive because you can see me correcting the car. Let's look at the data real quick and see what's going on. So I got the RST app pulled up. Let's basically what I want to do is identify the lap that I had the issue at. So I'm going to select this 42.8 as my baseline lap. And we're going to go to driver and we're going to go to overview. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to turns 3, 4, which is right here. We're going to look at these different laps to see where I lost time. Actually gained time through that one. Those are pretty good. Okay, here we go. So this is one that I had the issue. I obviously, as the laps went in, I got better about controlling it. But you can see this lap too. I lost a ton of time here. It's just because I got loose. And you can see it in the data because if you look here, at the speed graph, I had more mid corner speed and then it just like levels off. That's because I was basically trying to catch. And if you look at the steering angle here, this blue line, I have to catch, I have to add some opposite steering lock, to catch the car. Um, One thing too is let's look at the stability. We should be able to see it in the stability graph too. So stability is anytime you see like these peaks, a little bit higher than like 10. So like here, this 20, whenever it's higher than like zero or that's positive, it means you're rotating the car more than you need to. Your yaw acceleration is higher than you need to. When it's lower, it means your measured yaw acceleration isn't enough for the turn, so you're understeering. So it's a good way to see. But you can see I definitely got some oversteer here, as I was on the brake. And something that's kind of interesting too is you can see it's not too bad, but as soon as I get on the brake, I that's when I get the whip. I'm gonna go to the differential tab. Well, let's look here to see what's going on. So yeah, you can definitely see what's happening here is I'm getting more and more locked, and then probably when I hit that curb, it's causing a little bit more torque differential, and it's unlocking right here, right? Because if you look here to the left, pretty much from 280 to 283, I'm getting more and more locked, right? That's going to cause more and more push to the corner. But as soon as I hit that curb, like at 283, I open it up again, right? Like the differential unlocks here. And if I look at stability, that correlates pretty well with where that spike in the yaw stability was, right? So that kind of tells me right there, like, hey, I probably need a little bit more preload. So let's try adding a little bit more preload, see if that helps turns 3 and 4. Again, we're just trying to take a little bit of response out. It's a little bit too responsive after turn 3, and that's what's causing the issue. I know it's not the brake bias, because if I go to that corner and I zoom in here, and what we're really interested in is uh the outside tire, because that's where all the load is. So turn 3 is a left hand. So I'm curious about the rear right wheel slip, and you can see the front right's at 3.89% slip and the rear right is at 2.87. So I know it's not the oversteer is because of like brake bias, because again, the brake by like the wheel slip is a little bit less in the front, so we shouldn't be locking up the rears, causing that. We're locking up the front, which is going to add to stability. So it's got to be the preload. Most likely we'll do the preload and see if that fixes it, and then we'll go from there. But like Fabio was saying, let me show you guys the tattoo that I have. So I'm going to pull up my Discord actually, and I don't know the best way to show this, so just give me 1 second. I think it's have a picture, static picture. Actually, I don't. I'll just show you guys the screenshot, the video. So let me just do this real quick. I gotta add a window or a screen. Okay, so you guys can see my screen now. Put that down here. So this is actually the tattoo that I got. Let me full screen it. It's basically Le Mans, the GT1 class. It's like the 1997 24 Hours of Le Mans, but it's like my full like arm. So I don't know if you can really see it, but you can see it's like quite a bit. And then on this side is the Porsche 917K tattoo that I have. But yeah, I did this like a few days ago, and it literally like took 12 hours. I think we only took one break, but it turned out really good. The tattoo itself is fucking awesome. It's really really cool. But let's go ahead and make it that change, guys, and get back to it. So again, we need to add a little bit of stability turn 3 and 4. So we're gonna add a little, take out a little response. We're gonna add a little bit more preload. That's gonna help with that transition. Keep us locked just a little bit more. You can see, oh, you can't see. Preload is a little bit lower. like I would normally run it. So we're gonna try it about 4 clicks higher. Always really important to kind of save your setups. One thing too is I want to show you guys. So you can see these. I have a baseline, session 2, session 3. Session 3 is when we were kind of doing the setup, the default setup. So what I'm gonna do is actually, if you hit the little bar here, and you can't see it, but there's a pop up that comes up that says session name, session notes. I can actually give it a name. So I'm gonna say version 0.1 RST. Version 0.1. When I hit save, it'll come back. Look, it changed the name of this right here. So this is just a really good way to keep track of like what changes you make, like when you're doing like, you know, different things. But I just wanted to show you guys that real quick. So one thing I do need to adjust here is my rev light is a little bit too high. So I'm gonna go 5. Let's go light and hit it. So this, I just want to make sure. Go to set. All right. So we really didn't make. Oh, actually, I wanted to change the pressure on that front left just a little bit too. So just 1 second. It's a little bit low on the left hand side, so I just need to bump her up just a bit. Tire pressure is super critical to get correct in ACC, guys. So it should be like the first thing that you guys do is get your tire pressure set up. If you do setup work without correct tire pressures, you're just gonna be chasing your tail. All right, let's get it. Let these tires warm up just a little bit. One thing too is you guys can see the front brakes and the pressures are a little low. If you're in an out lap, like in a formation lap, you can hold the gas and the brake just a little bit, and you can see you're gonna heat those fronts up while you're waiting. So that's gonna do 2 things. That's gonna add a little bit more pressure into your front tires while you're on the formation lap, and it's also gonna add some more pressure into your front tires, because what's gonna happen is that when you hold the brakes like that, the brakes heat up, right? And that heat heats up the inside temperature of the tire, which increases the pressure. But it's a cool little trick if you don't know that. You don't really do it in some other games because like fuel consumption is really important. ACC fuel consumption is not really a big deal. You don't really get enough fuel savings to really have like a fuel strategy. You wouldn't do that like in iRacing, for example, but in ACC it's not a big deal. You will wear the front brakes a little bit, but if you're wearing brake pads too, you're really not gonna have an issue. I will show you guys the new tool too today. We're got the suspension and handling done for the multiple selected laps. So it's not fully working yet, but we're hoping in the next like month to get it done. But it's really good, guys. Really good. Yeah, the preload made a huge difference. I can already tell turn 1. Let's see how we do turn 3. Better. Still a little bit nappy. I'm happy with the response everywhere else. This turn 3, 4 is the only issue. Might be, I want to look at the dampening speeds too. We're getting on that inside curve. Maybe what's happening is our rear high speed bumps a little bit high. It's causing a little bit overload of the rear inside tire when we hit that curve. So we will look at that too. Because what I could do is I could just drop the rear ride height, right? And that would definitely take some response out between 3 and 4. But the bad thing about doing that is now when I'm gonna affect the response at every corner, right? Which I feel like the car feels quite good in pretty much the whole track except turn 3 and 4. But we'll have to see. If you just affect if it is a high-speed dampening, we can decrease the rear high-speed bump, and that improves it. It might affect less corners because less corners might not be activating that high-speed setting. So that's kind of my train of thought with that approach. Come on, get out the grass. Really good through there. Car feels really set up. You carry a lot of mid-corner speed through there. Man, I carried a lot of speed through the final chicane, but I got on the throttle a little late there. I don't think we gained any time, but we didn't lose any either, so. All right, well, we gained 2/10 with that preload adjustment. Do a few more laps. I'm gonna look to see what the tire temps are doing. Really good turn 1, 2/10 off that. Yeah, I think it's that curb. If I don't get on that curb, I don't have that weird issue. Oh, the car feels so good right there. Probably a little bit too high of a gear though. Oh, I'm gonna invalidate. Damn it. So frustrating, right? Like when you're up like that and you just throw it away. Starts pretty quick though. Definitely nice having the front engine for going over the bumps though. Alright, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go turn 3, 4, but I'm gonna hit that curb like I normally do. And I'm gonna try to get some data to see what's going on, to see what dampener speeds are there. The exit's so good on that corner. Damn, we're up 4/10. It's crazy. Got lucky with invalidating there. It's one of those things where it's like, to be aggressive, you have to attack it like that. But you have to be careful not to hit that inside part of the curb. Like, if you look at the sausage curb, it's like an L shape. And within the L, there's like another, like, sausage curve. And if you hit that, it's an invalidation. But that's good. I'm going to go ahead and look at the data now for that lap. Let's take a peek. So it's this lap that we hit it. Let's look at the dampener speeds. And what I'm curious in is what the dampener speeds are when I hit that that curb. And surprisingly, it's low speed. See if it's always low speed. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. I would have thought that when you hit that curb, it was more in the high speed range. Oh, I bet this is the high speed range right here. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. So if we look, so what dampener speeds are basically, it's just like the raw measurement of the stroke velocity of the dampener, right? So this is going to tell you if you're in low speed settings or high speed settings. And you can also look the correlation between the front and the rear that's going on here. So I'm just going to drag this up just a little bit just to see here. So positives are going to be compression. Uh, Under the zero lines, negative is going to be rebound. So what we're interested in is the rear left and the front left, because that's what's going to strike that curb, right? So if we look here, we're definitely, that rear left, we're definitely getting a lot of compression here, right? That's what this yellow peak is. Um, and then we're getting a lot of rebound, which is good. Usually that if your rebound was a little bit less, you'd add, you would want to reduce the rebound dampening. This actually doesn't look too bad, but we could soften this up just a little bit here. I want to see the replay just really fast. Let's do this. I'm gonna do. Oh, I zoomed to it perfectly, but I wasn't ready. So what we're gonna do here, let's go to the free cam. If you don't know, it's F7. This lets you kind of fly your camera around here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna slow this playback speed down. All right, we're going super slow here. I want to see, I'm really paying attention to what the front and the rear tires are going to be doing and the body language of the car as it hits this curve. So you can see front goes a little bit. Actually missed it on the rear. That's kind of surprising. I was taking a pretty straight line through there. Like if you look through here, I'm really changing the braking to get that line. So you want to kind of hug this left-hand side, because the farther you're over on the left-hand side for exit of turn 3, the better exit you can get out of turn 4. So if I watch this, turning in, just clipping that curb, holding to the left. You can see it's drifting out just a little bit. But yeah, you want to be on this left-hand side because you can be farther over to get a good exit on that right-hand side. So overall, it doesn't look bad. Based on these dampener speeds, though, that you guys see, I think I am going to soften the rear bump up, high speed bump a little bit. That's going to help that just a little bit. We can go to the damper histograms, and I like to do the comparison view. You can see that the rear's got a little bit of a, or sorry, that's the front. It has a little bit of a rebound bias. Not too bad though. You typically want a rebound bias for tracks like Imola, because that left-hand fast turn, the more rebound you have, the more that the front wing, the splitter, will hold to the ground. If it was a low speed turn, it would be different, right? When you have more dampening, it's going to unload or load those tires faster. But for aero, it's like the opposite. You're going to get more grip because you're keeping that front splitter lower to the ground after the braking zone. So that's why we have it there, that really fast left-hander speed turn. You want a lot of rebound there to keep it sucked down to get that front end grip. The rear's got a little bit of a bump bias. But it's not too bad. What I'm kind of curious is this kind of region here. This is that high speed region. It's pretty like uniform through here. But I would like to see the rear velocity is just a little bit higher, right? We want the rear to have a little bit more wheel compliance. So having a little higher velocities is a little bit okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go back. Gonna make those adjustments just real quick. So V2, and then we said we're gonna decrease the fast bump dampening here. And then actually gonna add just a little bit of rear toe too. That'll help with that corner as well. And then one thing, the corner balance feels really good. We're not gonna make any adjustments to the balance in that regard. But I think looking at tire wear is really good actually right now. Car is really balanced, which is quite nice. Okay, we're gonna save this, and then what we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna do a few laps here, see how the lap times change, how the behavior changes, and then we're actually gonna do the car parameters and start looking at loads and getting into like a little bit higher analysis, just because we're getting to the final tweaks now. If you guys have any questions, again, just let me know in the chat, guys. Try to respond as much as I can. Gotta love not having to have that pit limiter. Nico said, cheers for addressing the different corners and their damper needs. Just saying that the dampener hits need to be shaped like that ideal bell. Yeah, exactly. That's a very slippery slope that a lot of people get into, right? When you're looking at telemetry, there's a lot of different tools, right? I looked at the dampener speeds, I looked at the dampener histograms. You can't just look at one and think that that's going to give you the best results. What I like to do is typically I'll try to get like a fairly good bell shape just as a starting point. Then what I'll do is I'll start thinking about what the car needs in the transient phases, right? How the dampeners are really going to make a difference to the car in transient, and that's like corner entry, corner exit, and then mid corner if you hit like a bump or something, right? But mostly corner entry, corner exit. Dampeners are a great way to isolate what's happening at transient versus what's happening at mid corner balance. So that's how I use them, is I get a nice, bell shape, and then I think like, oh, is the corner entry too aggressive? Is it too much response? Is it too little response? I'll make adjustments based on that. Same for corner exit. And like you said, when you have a dampener, when you have not a lot of aero grip or you're in low speed corners, the more dampening you have, either with bump, you're going to load that tire faster. With more rebound, you're going to unload that tire faster. In high speeds, it's different. You're keeping that chassis, the splitter aero elements lower to the ground for longer with more rebound. And you're going to get almost the exact opposite of behavior of what the mechanical characteristics are, right? So you've got to really think about what you're doing and what kind of corner you're at and what the car is needing to make those dampener adjustments. A lot of the GT3 cars are really similar to like kind of almost an LMP car that you would set them up. So I typically, when it's dampening adjustments, I'm more lean towards the side of aero than mechanical because these cars get a lot of grip from aero. Yeah, exactly, Nico. Exactly. That's exactly how you should think about it. Or at least how I think about it and how I do it in real life too. All right, tires are good. Let's start pushing. Hey, what's up, Speed Man? How's it going? We're just working on the Lexus RCF setup now. Tire pressure's looking good. But I don't know if you guys saw that line I took. Is really risky. That curve on the exit, you can straddle it, but you got to be really technical. You have to be like really precise. Otherwise, if you hit it, it really hurts the car. I can really hold a lot of mid-corner speed through that right-hander. Oh, what an exit. What an exit. If you guys want a crash course on dampeners, we can totally kind of take a break from this, guys, and I can do some free body diagrams and kind of explain my thoughts on them. But it's up to you guys. I don't want to, if you guys are here to enjoy watching the setup work, I don't want to kind of detract, but I know it's a question that's always asked, and we just had a PR, so that's good. 42.8. About 4/10 or 1/10. Man, that was good. Holy shit. About 4/10 now. I'm not Professor Zach. I will. So what we could do is I can get my laptop. It's a Surface, and it has like a touchscreen, and I have a pen, and I can kind of draw on it. Maybe we could do that. That might be a good way to do kind of like a tutorial. Man, this is a good lap. 42.5 is pretty quick for me. I bet Speed could take this setup and do like a 41. I'm super happy with this so far. Oh, I totally missed that apex. All right, we're definitely getting there, guys. Car feels really good. Let's look. I want to look at. All right, 1 second, guys. Just taking a quick peek at some stuff here. All right, cool. I will be right back. I'm gonna go grab my laptop real quick, guys. I'll hook it up. We'll remote into it, and then that way we can do the dampener free body diagrams. And then what we'll do is we'll come back. We'll do some final tweaks. This setup is like right there, guys. I don't really think there's gonna be much more adjustment. I want to look at the tire wear here, so you guys are gonna kind of see the setup just for a second. Look at that, 293, 291. That's really even. So this is would be a really good setup for an endurance race. It's gonna be really even on the tire wear for the front and the rear and the front and the rear. So you're not gonna have a lot of setup evolution change in the balance. Those tire wear is gonna be really good. But let me go grab the laptop, real guys, and I'll be right back. Just give me like 2 minutes. All right, and we are back, guys. So I got the laptop here. What I want to do first is go into tablet mode with it. Really, if you guys need a laptop for work, these Surface Book Pros are really nice. I can't play games or anything with it, but it's awesome for like working on RST and stuff. Let's do remote desktop. Because I don't even know what the actually, you know what? We don't even need to do this. All right, we're gonna connect to it, real guys, and then I'll share my screen so you guys can see what I'm doing. If you guys have any questions while I'm going through it, just let me know in the chat. I'll make sure to look up every now and then to make sure I'm answering any of your guys' questions. Try to connect here though. Perfect. All right, so let me do, instead of a game capture, we'll do this. Oh, how big I need it. Oh, there we go. Okay, more or less, you guys can see. Can you guys read this? This is readable for you guys, right? This is some stuff I did for a magic number, so it's a little bit different. But let's go ahead and do a new sheet. So I'm just going to call this dampener here. I don't know what. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and kind of draw the different parts. We'll do a free body diagram first. So typically what we have, right, is we normally have kind of the ground here, right? So we're just going to draw the ground plane here. Then normally you have kind of a tire here, right? And then connected to that is you're going to have some suspension arms. But for sake of, making this really easy, we'll just draw kind of what would be like a coil over here. Right? So this is the coilover, and then this is the coil. So you can see we have to think about what a dampener is doing. So when a dampener is seeing a velocity inwards, that's called a compression stroke or a bump stroke, right? And basically what that means is there's this compression, the tire is pushing on the dampener. So you kind of have a force in this direction, right? That's going to push the rod through kind of like a fluid, like a viscous fluid, and that creates a force resisting that. So what happens is when you have this like compression, the dampener is actually going to apply a force in the opposite direction. So what happens is, like, we'll draw that same kind of diagram right here again. What happens is you have a force from the compression dampening. Then you have your tire here, right? You can think of, as you increase the bump dampening, this force is going to be bigger and bigger, right? So you're going to be squashing that tire harder and harder. Well, we know that the normal force on this tire is going to increase our grip, right? Like if we look at a grip curve, you usually have like a slip angle. Forget, is it? I think it's, and then you'll have like force peak, force Y peak, right? So a normal tire curve will look something like this, right? But that's at a constant normal force. As you increase downforce, you'll basically get more peak tire grips. You'll maybe get something like this, right? With a little bit more, and then maybe even more downforce, you'll get something like this, right? So the idea is you want to keep adding downforce or a peak load to get that peak lateral force up. So compression damping is really good in that sense. You're basically squashing the tire more. let's look at rebound. So you can imagine when you're compression dampening, when you're squashing that tire more, you're going to be loading that tire quicker, right? Takes less velocity of that stroke to add that force. So the more and more dampening, compression dampening, the more and more squishiness of that tire you're going to add, which means you're going to load that tire up way quicker than you would at a soft, right? So that's just one way to think about it. Let's look at rebound now. So rebound is kind of the opposite. That's going to call this bump. The rebound would be the opposite way right here, right? So what happens is the car raises up, the tire wants to return back to the ground. Rebound dampening is going to basically prevent the retraction of that tire back to the ground plane. So it's actually going to have a force in the opposite direction. So the tire wants to pull down like this, but the dampener wants to pull up on the tire to keep it from retracting, right? So what we end up having is something like this. And the rebound force is this way. Call it rebound, right? So with this diagram, you can look, this tire is not being squished. The more rebound dampening we add, which is increasing this right hand arrow pointing up, that's going to reduce the amount of normal force on that tire. We're basically squishing the tire less, right? So you're unloading the tire. And the more rebound dampening you have, the faster you're going to unload that tire. So you can imagine this kind of curve. If you think about it from a mechanical property, this is why when I think about corner entry and corner exit, I'm really thinking about like some of these mechanical properties, right? So like, for example, let's say corner entry, we're going to do like a right-hand turn. So we'll just draw like a right-hand turn here, right? We got something like this. And then we'll just draw a kind of a free body diagram for a car, right? Quick. Right. So this is our car. Well, you have to imagine when we trail brake and we're turning to the right, we're going to have a compression on this front left tire and a rebound on this rear right tire, right? The car is going to be basically pivoting on that intermediate axis. So you can think of this axis right here, this kind of dashed line that I'm drawing. You're gonna have compression on that front left, rebound on the rear right, and you imagine the front right and the rear left tire, they're really not going to be moving a lot. A lot of that turning is going to be kind of on that intermediate axis. So there's not a lot of actual dampening going on those two tires. No, Nico, it's going to unload it quicker. Um, and it's exactly as I had the dampening. So what you're getting confused with is the stroke, like the length for it to like the velocity. So if you have more rebound dampening, you're gonna unload the tire quicker because you're not squishing it as much, right? But the problem is you're now making that velocity slower, so it's gonna take longer for it to retract, right? So it's actually unloading faster, but it's making the response of the chassis slower, if that makes sense. But when I talk about dampeners, just think about forces. Don't really think about speed. The only time you think about speed for dampening is when you're talking about the aero characteristics of the car. But I'll get there. Just let me finish this, and then we'll look at the aero considerations, right? So if we look at this corner entry, so this is corner entry, right? And I don't think you guys can see my cursor, unfortunately. That kind of makes it hard. So I'll kind of try to illustrate what I'm pointing at. But let's say corner entry, what we had is the car was oversteering, right? Well, we know that rebound increases the rate at which we unload the tires, right? So if we are losing the rear, it means we need to unload the tires a little slower, right? We want to retain some of that grip in that rear a little bit longer so we can get that rotation that we need. But not have over rotation. So what you could do is you could reduce the rear rebound dampening, right? So I'm gonna actually just make like a quick little table. Actually, I was gonna make a table, but there's a lot of considerations we have to do for that. Let's talk about compression, right? So let's say compression. Let's say the car was really lazy to turn in, right? On turn in, it had response like was really low. What we could do is if we didn't have enough load on that front left tire, we could add some compression, low speed compression dampening, right? That's going to affect corner entry. That's going to load up that front left tire a little bit more, and maybe we'll get a quicker response. That being said, you could have too much load on that front left tire and you're overloading that tire at corner entry. So adding more compression dampening would actually reduce your response. So you kind of have to know where you are in compression dampening. Rebound dampening is pretty straightforward. The more rebound dampening you add, the faster you're going to unload that tire. Let's look at corner exit though. So let's take the same turn here, but we're going to kind of rotate it here. So this is we're now going to be looking at the exit. I'll try to draw it, as best as I can. I'm not a best drawer, so I do apologize. So on corner exit, you're going to have almost the exact same opposite here. So what's going to happen here is now this tire is going to be in rebound, and this tire is going to go into compression. So it's almost flip-flopped, right? So on corner exit, if we needed to get a little less, if we had corner exit oversteer, reducing the rear right or just the rear compression, low speed compression is going to make it so you load that tire up slower, so you won't exceed that rear grip as fast, right? Same thing with the rebound in the front. So on the front, if you are getting a little bit of corner exit understeer, you could reduce the front rebound. Again, you're going to unload that tire a little slower now. Again, as you increase the rebound, you're going to unload the tire quicker. So that's the kind of way. The more dampening you add, the faster you unload and load the tire. The less dampening, the more progressive it'll be, the slower you'll unload or slower you'll load up a tire. So that's just kind of the quick way to think about it. But these are mechanical characteristics, right? So this is like a car that's got no downforce, or a car that like you're in a low speed corner. You'll get these kind of characteristics, right? But when you're talking about like GT3 cars, like an ACC, or you're talking about like fast speed corners, you do need to consider the effects of downforce, right? Because you have to think, right? Like, let's just kind of make like a fictitious kind of like diagram here. Let's say one end is aero and one end here is mechanical, right? Let's say this line here is dead even. If you're kind of in this region over here, this left hand region where I'm going to kind of mark as 1, you can almost set up your dampeners exactly how we talked about here, which is the loading and unloading of the tires with the dampening. However, if you're in this aero region, right, most of your aerodynamic or your grip is coming from aerodynamics. So this would be like region 2, right? And the reason why you can't do this setup is because the interaction between rebound and compression and the aero elements, right? So this is what Nico is asking about, like, hey, isn't rebound making the unloading phase longer? And that was incorrect. Basically, more rebound will mechanically unload a tire quicker. That being said, it'll keep a front aero element down to the ground for longer, right? So you're unloading the front or the tires quicker, but you're keeping the chassis lower for longer. Well, if you are getting more grip from aerodynamics, you're gonna have more, like, let's say you're doing the rebound on the front. So like, let's say you add more rebound on the front, right? For a GT4 type car, a car with not a lot of downforce, you're going to unload the front quicker, which means you're going to have more corner exit push, right? That being said, if you have more grip from aerodynamics, if you have more rebound dampening, you're going to unload that front tire quicker. But the difference is you're going to keep that front splitter lower to the ground for longer. And because most of your grip is coming from aerodynamics, it means you're going to have more front end grip. So it's kind of one of those things that gets tricky, right? Because the mechanical properties and the aerodynamic properties of like when you touch the dampeners are almost flip-flop from one another. So knowing what corner you're in, what kind of car you're in is really, really crucial. For these GT3 cars, I'm going to say for ACC, you're probably like in this region where I'm drawing this blue dot on this fictitious diagram. So you're gaining most of your grip from aerodynamics over mechanical grip. For GT3 cars, you're probably more in this region where so I'll just say GT4 and then GT3. So you can see the difference between GT4 and GT3 are going to be quite different in terms of the way you set up your dampening. So again, these kind of characteristics completely flip flop from Aero because you have to think, right? Front splitter is really sensitive to ride height. You want to keep it as low as possible to get as much front grip as possible. Well, adding that front rebound will basically keep that front splitter lower to the ground for longer periods of time. Even though you're unloading the front tires quicker, you're going to have that front aero element in that sweet spot for longer, which means you'll get a little bit better corner. So let me kind of draw just a quick diagram for you guys that kind of shows you like my thought process. So what I'll do is we'll say, let's see, I'm trying to think the best way to do this. Let's do like front bump, front rebound. Actually, trying to think of a way to do this. Sorry, guys. Trying to think on the fly is a little hard sometimes. Let's just do corner entry and then corner exit, right? Those are the main two things that we're interested in with dampening. Then what we can do is I don't want to call it understeer and oversteer, but I know that's what you guys kind of refer to it as. I'm gonna call it response. We'll do. Damn, I'm gonna do it understeer and understeer just because I know that's how you guys like to talk about it. When you refer to these things, talk to them in terms of response, though. So corner entry, if you have oversteer, basically what I do is rear rebound minus rear rebound. So corner entry, my go-to for mechanical properties, so low speed corners or GT4 cars is always to reduce the rear rebound, right? Could also increase the rear rebound or understeer. And remember, the bump's the same way, right? So instead of decreasing or increasing the rear rebound, you could increase or decrease the bump. Same difference. It would just be the opposite. Corner exit, you're gonna basically oversteer, decrease rear bump, or increase rear bump, right? Trying to think. Let me I'm gonna do I want to do it because I know you guys like these kind of. Let me do this. God, this eraser is tiny. I'm gonna use like a shorthand for you guys so we can get the bump and the rebound. So corner entry oversteer, you're gonna do rear rebound minus or plus front front compression. So I would say from FC for front compression. If you're understeering, you want to increase the rear rebounds or minus the front compression. And the compression is a little bit, you have to know where you're at on the end of the curve, right? But that's typically what you can do. Corner exit, same thing. Corner exit, if you have oversteer, you want to decrease rear bump or increase front rebound. And then same thing on the understeer. Corner exit, if you're understeering, you want to increase the rear bump. You're making that rear a little stiffer, or decrease the front rebound. So these are again low speed low aero, right? Now, if we talk about downforce or high speed corners, this thing basically changes, right? Because what we get is almost the exact same opposite. So if I have a high speed, high aero, that was horrible. And then we'll just do the corner entry again, corner exit, oversteer. So if I have corner entry oversteer, sometimes decreasing, adding a little bit of rear rebound is going to help you with that. Typically, I wouldn't really touch that though. Um, you could add a little bit of front bump, but it's basically going to be the exact same. So we'll just say add front compression, or rear rebound. Because you got to think the rear is wanting to pop up, right? If you add a little rear rebound, it's going to keep it lower to the ground. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Let me scroll up. Corner entry, if you have understeer, what you can do is you can increase the front rebound. That's typically what I'll do. So you have to think, you go into a compression zone. So let's say this is the car, the car pivots down for a compression zone. If you add more front rebound, it's going to cause the front to pop up slower, which means if you have a lot of aero grip, that's going to keep that front splitter lower to the ground for longer in the beginning. So you'll have more front end grip. So that's why if we look at, let me finish this out real quick and then we'll look at that, right? For corner exit, if you have oversteer, you can decrease the front rebound. That's going to basically allow the front splitter to come higher off the ground quicker. And understeer, I'm going to leave these two blanks because I don't really, these are the main two things that I always think about. Understeer and the other one. These other ones, you just basically increase compression. But like, let's look at this real quick, right? Because the front top one's mechanical, the bottom one's aero, right? If you look at the high speed corner entry understeer versus the low speed understeer corner entry, you can see that they basically oh actually entry, oh yeah, sorry. They have a little bit of a contradiction there, right? The corner exit is a huge contradiction, right? For corner exit, if you have oversteer, you if you add more front rebound, it's going to unload that front tire quicker, which means you're going to basically start pushing, right? On high speed or high aero, if you have corner exit oversteer and you decrease the front rebound, if you increase the front rebound, it's going to keep that front splitter lower to the ground for longer, which means you're going to have more front grip, right? So decreasing it will actually help fix that. And you can see they are a direct contradiction, right? Like if you look here, that's increase, this one's decrease for the same behavior, but two different corners. For the understeer situation, corner entry, let's see, front rebound increase. That's not corner entry. If you're understeering, actually, I'm gonna do this one. Corner entry, if you're oversteering, adding rear rebound is gonna keep that the rear from popping up, which could add some stability if a lot of your grip is coming from the rake, right? Because if you're not letting the rear pop up as quick, your front splitter is not going to dive closer to the ground as quick, right? And you can see this one's a direct contradiction of against the mechanical properties as well. Corner entry understeer. That's pretty much the same. And then corner entry understeer, that'll be pretty much the same. So it's really the oversteer condition that's going to be a contradiction. But you can see these are the differences between mechanical and aero properties. So that's why it's always hard to describe aero to people. or dampening to people because it really depends where you're at, what kind of car you have, what kind of corner it is. Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and close this and let's get back to the dampening here real quick, guys. So let's just go back, do a few more laps here. I need to make a quick adjustment. So let's switch to RST real quick. I'm curious to see what was I wanting to do last time. Oh yeah, we want to, let's go ahead and enter the car parameters. And what we'll do here is I have a spreadsheet I got to pull up to get some of these magic number stuff. Drive. I'm trying to get what the front ARB rate and the rear ARB rate is. Let me pull up my spreadsheet real quick. We are in the Lexus. If we're using 173, 154, then what is 74? Okay, so now that I got that, I can go back to RST, type this in 51, 51, 9 point. Yeah, exactly. It's like a contradictory. That's why it's hard too for like GT3 and ACC because they're more dominated by aero effects than mechanical effects, right? So a lot of the documentation you see that people tell people to make dampener adjustments, they're confusing because those are almost purely for like a GT4 type car, which is mostly like mechanical grip. So you just have to like switch your mind between two different things, right? Like if you're talking about just like if most of your grip's coming from mechanical, like of the tire, it's about how do I load and unload the tire, right? Which is the transient that we're talking about. If most of your grip is coming from aerodynamics, you really need to think about how are the aero elements changing, right? And then if you're in the middle, if your car is split between mechanical and aerodynamic, it becomes even harder because now you have to think about the trade-off between mechanical and air, right? And try to find that balance. It's almost easier to do a purely mechanical car or a purely aero car than it is to do a car that kind of is in that middle ground because you have to like think about both, right? And it's going to rely a lot on the corner type. As you move to the ends of that spectrum, it's less about the speed because you're still going to get a really big difference in aero at like low speed corners. GT4 car, you don't get aero at almost any corner. So it becomes a little easier, right? But yeah, it's really tricky. But when I think about dampener, I just think about how the forces are going through the tire and what the chassis is doing. But let's go ahead. I have the ride height. So we got 52 for the ride on the front and then 75 on the rear. And then what I'm going to do is close this and I'm going to go to, so if you guys have never gotten the dampeners before, what you can do is go to the first one. And actually what you can do here, this is going to be pretty close. So you can see it's on the rear, it's 25.2 ish. So I would say 25 because that's in the middle and then like 13. So again, come in here, rear is 25 and the front is 13. And oh, nice. Yeah, Jason, I'll send you the setup when it's done, man. It's really good though. I'm gonna go ahead and save this real quick, guys. All right, so we have this dialed in. Let's go ahead and look at the ride height envelope. So we were talking a lot about again how the chassis is changing and things like that. If we go to RST and go to ride height envelope, you're actually going to get a diagram that kind of shows you how the ride heights are changing over lap, and you can see there's like a correlation here. That's just because of the way that the car is like set up, basically, like because of the springs and everything. So normally you'll have like an aero map when you work with like aerodynamics, and that I'll say like, hey, you want to keep the car in like this region, right? I have some aero maps for ACC, but I can't share them with you guys. But this does look really good. You want the front to be between 30 and 40, So 30 to 40, which we were really interested in the orange area. That's when we're producing the most downforce. You can see 30 to 40, we're pretty much there for the front. And then on the rear, I think it's like 50 to like 70. So we're good on that. But yeah, the front is super important. You would see that if you came to this graph and you were like at 45, you would know, oh, I need to move it down, right? So this is a good way just to visualize all the ride heights for an entire lap. What I'm curious is, forget what we were looking at before. You can see this doing pretty quick, 42.6, 42.8. If I look at the yaw stability, this corner right here looks like it might be an issue, but this is actually the final chicane. So that's probably just skewed, honestly, by the way. If we go to suspension and lateral stiffness, you can actually get the warp, which should account for the chassis, like the warping of the chassis. Let's see if it actually shows us. Oh yeah, you can see here. So this warp graph, again, that's looking at this kind of motion between the chassis, and you can definitely see it's warping through that final chicane. It'd actually be interesting to see if ACC, if you could see less warping, based on the chassis like torsional stiffness, right? That'd be like really cool. I should like maybe look into like doing that. But as far as the setup goes, guys, I'm just going to try decreasing that rear compression dampening just a little bit more. I think it's getting that bump and it's just getting a little bit loose over that curb. So let's just soften that up just a little bit and go from there. We again, with all my setups, guys, we don't just do them in hot lap. We like to do the setups, get a really good, consistent, kind of work out some of those behaviors that I'm not really liking. And then what we do is sometimes you can, if you set up in hot lap mode, you get really used to being able to take like a perfect line. And then when you go in a race, you're like, one little twitch of like someone braking in front of you or like moving in your line like causes you to lose the rear, right? So that's kind of like what I call like raceability. I always like to take the setups I develop in hot lap, take them to like a AI race, just do like 20 minutes and see how the car feels. If I can't do a full 20-minute race with the setup, then I know something needs to be changed, right? But let's go ahead and load her in. Load the live screen. So again, all really done here is just soften the rear bump just a little bit, because again, we're getting a little loose as we go to that curve. We're just trying to add a little bit of wheel compliance here. Wheel compliance is so crucial at tracks like Imola. Makes a huge difference. All right, let's heat these tires up. All right, let these pressures come up, then we'll start pushing and see if we can get down to the high 42, mid 42 again. Always use time as a way to get a good indication if you're going in the right or wrong direction. Sometimes you can get a setup that feels really good, but then you put on the track and it's like a second slower than anything else. If you can get the behavior to be a little bit more tame, but not really affect the lap times, or even better, get better lap times, and that's like where you want to be. That was my fault. Oh, Aerosmudge, how's it going, man? You haven't got your track medals at Imola. Dang, dude. Came out a while ago now. You're gonna have to get on it because the new tracks are coming up next weekend. You guys excited about the new tracks? I think they're gonna be pretty cool. It'll be interesting. I think a lot of the new tracks will be really hard to race at, though. Not a lot of passing room or passing opportunities, you know. Yeah, Donington's what I'm looking forward to as well. I really like Donington. Yeah, I would be really excited for some US tracks. Like Coda would be really fun, I think. Someone told me the other day that Silverstone is like, or Coda is just like an American Silverstone. And I was like, damn, that's actually pretty accurate. Like Sector 1 is like Maggots Beggots, like hardcore. Road America is pretty fun too. Car feels so good right now, though. You could very easily drive this car for an endurance race. I didn't even know you played iRacing, Jix. Alright, let's focus here. It always takes me like a few laps till I get back into it, you know? Yeah, car feels really good. I'm pretty happy with this setup. I think this is more or less done. Again, Silverstone is a really comparable track, guys. Still requires a few tweaks, but for the most part, very similar. Yeah, that bump adjustment made a huge difference on corner exit. It feels so planted on corner exit now. All right, guys, time pretty much didn't change. Car feels way better though. It feels really glued now. Super happy with the setup. Let's go ahead and test that. You know, like I said, the raceability of this. So we'll just do a 20-minute race real quick. I'm gonna save this as version 1.0. But this should be good to go. We've gotten about 3 cars done. We have the Aston Martin done, the Ferrari 488 Evo done, um, and now the Lexus done. Granted, if this race goes okay. So hopefully probably another week or two and these setups will be out as well. Um, not sure uh what track we'll do after that. Probably maybe one of the new tracks. Hey, what's up, Marcel? Dude, I'm glad you liked the setup, man. Which car did you end up doing? We were really proud of those setups. Um, so super excited to see what some of the feedback is for you guys. Um, but I'm glad you guys are enjoying them. We definitely enjoy putting them together. But we got a 20-minute race. Let's test the raceability of this setup now. Again, you never want to do, you're never going to get a perfect lap in a race. Just to make sure cars get in front of you don't cause issue. Oh, nice. Yeah, I love the Lexus, man. This car is awesome. I'm going to hold the brake and apply a little throttle here. You're going to see that front brake come up to temp. I'm going to add a little bit of pressure into the tire. Again, it helps you into turn 1, so you don't get caught up with, you know, cold brakes. Yeah, exactly. It's so much fun. That's actually like the reason I got into sim racing is like the engineering side of things. All right, here we go, guys. Waiting for that green flag.
Green light. Go, go.
Oh, that threw me off. Let me know if the stream looks good, guys. I'm not frame capping or anything, so hopefully.
All clear. Clear on the left.
Oh, we're gonna go up the middle. YOLO.
Car on the left. Clear on the left. Car on the right. Clear on the right.
All right.
Car on the right.
All right, I got this Lexus on the right-hand side here. We're gonna take the inside though.
Clear on the right.
Jix. I would never drive like this in a real race, you know that. It's fun with the AI. Yeah, car feels good. Car feels good, boys.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Yeah, AI is actually turned up quite a bit. They're at 100% with like 90% aggression. They're actually pretty quick. Like usually the AI, like the top AI are actually on pace with like Jardier and stuff, which is crazy. All right, let's see if we get a slipstream here.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
Gave me a lot of room, thank God. Already up to, got like 10 positions. Yeah, this car puts a smile on my face, like no lie, this is fun. Alright. I have to take it easy. I can't go too deep here. We'll be able to take the inside into the turn up here. This will help.
Car on the right. Clear on the right. Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Ooh, you like put his nose in there. Hey, Derek. So these setups, so that's actually a really good question. We don't do qualifying setups because qualifying really relies on the driver input. It's all about tuning the transient for how the driver wants, and there's really never going to be a setup that's going to be a good qualifying setup. That's just, you can give to someone, right? What we're trying to do with our setups is give you guys like an endurance or like a full race kind of setup that really pays a lot of attention to tire wear, how the setup evolves, things like that. So that's what our setups are really geared for. It's kind of like endurance races. So when we do these setups, we're trying to make them very neutral, but more importantly, we're trying to make them so that they're not backing you into like a setup strategy corner where, like, for example, you'll never see our setups like maxed out springs or maxed out ARB. We always try to get the balance such that you always have a little bit of adjustability in the setup so that you guys can adjust it to what your needs are. We also give you guys an infographic that kind of helps you guys identify how to make changes to the car to get it to where you want to be. And a lot of these cars, they are more sensitive to certain things. Like, for example, the Audi is very, very sensitive to rear toe. So that's why we make the infographics, to kind of give you guys an idea of, like, you know, what you can tweak to like really change the response or the mid-corner balance to what you need. Oh, that was a good exit. That was a good exit.
Car on the left. Well done, Blake. Fastest lap of the race so far.
That's scary. We're gonna outbrake him right here, though. Oh, he's still there. Man, that hurt our exit on turn 2. Man, this car is quick. We're already in P9. That's pretty good. Oh, am I gonna warn you for that? Oh, actually, I didn't. Nice. Gotta be aggressive on the final chicane. Feels so unnatural attacking it like that, but that's how you do it.
Clear on the right.
Yeah, it is. It is the Audi again. I passed him this time, though. This Lexus is a beast at Imola, man. Jeez. Absolute beast. What do you guys think? Take the inside? Take the inside? Or take it in? Oh! Oh! That was super aggressive by the AI. We're gonna take the inside, though.
Car on the right.
Oh, I got a little bit loose on the exit. He's probably gonna catch me just a little bit here. Let's take the inside, though.
Clear on the right.
A little bit of oversteer, but I was able to hang on to it. right, we got the number 69 McLaren now.
Car on the left. Clear on the left. Car on the left. Clear on the left. Car on the left.
Man, it's hard to go too wide there.
Clear on the left.
Alright, we cleared him. Kind of surprising that we got better top end speed than the McLaren. Must have a bad BLP. All right, P5, the 992 Porsche. 1 second up the road. Let's see if we can catch him. Oh, look, that's so much mid-corner speed. It's insane. It's like you could just see it load up, you know?
We are at the halfway mark. Keep pushing.
Oh, I thought I was gonna be able to get the inside there. Come on. Let's go. Nice thing is I'm getting a nice little toe here.
Car on the left. Fastest
Poor
lap
Porsche has
twice.
no power. It's got so much drag.
Clear on the left.
Man, we might get a podium this race, boys. Let's go. Oh, yep, that was risky on my part.
Car on the right.
So that was what I was saying before, that curb that's on the outside of turn 4. You can sometimes split it, but if you don't, or if you're not absolutely precise and you hit it, it does that, what you just saw.
Clear on the left. Car on the left.
Hard on the
left.
inside too. Alright, let's see if we can attack the curve here. Final chicane. Full send. Starting to close the gap a little bit to P4. Very easy to push this car. And if you do push it, being able to catch it, like, you know, it doesn't just kill you, which is really nice. Well, we might have a good run here.
Car on the right.
Alright, let's take him down here now. 6 minutes to go, guys. 6 minutes to go.
Clear on the right.
Nice. Yeah, this car just really meshes with my driving style really well. It's so much fun to drive. Alright, 1.2 seconds to P3. They're in the BMW. Like a second faster than they are, so probably closing. Probably catch them before the race is over. Oh man, 210s.
Car on the
I
right.
push it too hard.
Clear on the right.
Push it a little bit too hard.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
Oh, deep.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
There we go, nice. P3, we're on the podium. That was a little deep on my end. We got it done. Well, all that matters. Alright, 4 more minutes, guys. 2 more laps, probably. So far, I think the raceability of this setup's really good. Very forgiving in the race. You can push it, and it will tell you it's being pushed. Won't kill you. Just lets you know where the limit is, you know. Really closing that gap to P2 now. I don't think we can close it. Oh, that was a really good final chicane. Pressure is looking spot on. Tire temperature is really good. 82, 88, so 6 degrees delta on the front. 84, 89, so 5 degrees on the back. So looking really good on the temperature spread. Oh, I hit that curb again, but I didn't die this time. Pushing really hard to catch this guy.
Car on the right.
Oh, he's still there. He got a better exit than me though. Damn it. All right, final lap. We gotta make it happen here, boys. Let's go. Wait, we totally got him here. And a T1. Damn, this AI is actually really good. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he like blocked me. He like squeezed me like really hard on the inside. Better really back out of that. Yeah, all works. Too far back. Man, I had so much more mid-corner speed. I had to get out of that. I was gonna kill him. All right, we'll catch. Just gotta get close enough to get him on the final turn here. Come on, baby.
Car on the right.
Oh, a little bit of a dive bomb. Let's go. He's got the speed over me though. Oh my god. There we go. I blocked him.
Excellent job, mate. P2. Bring it back.
Dude, that was so much fun. All right, we gotta. Let's look at the tire wear real quick, guys. Ooh, nice P2. That's funny. All right. So I'm gonna go into the setup. I don't remember what tire. Yeah, so 2.8. The most worn is the right hand side. So 2.74 in the front, 2.66 on the rear. So the difference is less than 10. That's pretty good. If it's like 0.1 or more, then I start to worry about it. But keeping the 0.1 or less between front and rear really keeps the balance of the car from changing too much over the race. So I'm super happy with this setup, guys. I think this is going to be the Imola Lexus setup. I think we'll have another one done. If there's a car you guys want me to do, let me know. I'll try to do another stream tomorrow. We'll try to get another car busted out here. But yeah, I'm super happy with the setup. I think it's good to go. Car was super easy to drive through the full race. Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. Let's watch a little bit of these replays real quick, boys. I just want to watch the body language of the car. See how it looks through the thing. Look how low it is, jeez. There's that Audi that Speed Demon was talking about. When I was in the Ferrari race, I was like really battling for this guy. Like, forget what position was. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, that's actually what we made the livery for, Nico. Thank you. Yeah, it was we actually won with the Lexus at Paul Ricard, and we made this livery for that race. My friend Flack, he made it for us. But that's the exact car that we tried to model it after. Was the Vassar Lexus, the green one, very similar to it. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, got him on the braking zone though, pretty easily. Yeah, car just looks really planted. Not really seeing any body language or anything that makes you think otherwise. Let's watch what, just one more lap. This handles those curves so well. Love the sound of the Lexus too. Oh, taking the inside. Oh, that's where he. So that was a really good point of why I do these races after a setup, because if you had a lot of response in your setup and that Audi did exactly what he just did to me, and you had to move out of the way, you probably die, right? So these are good tests just to make sure. It's kind of like a validation test for the setup, right? We do the hot laps to get the pace and the behaviors how we want, but then we need to put it through a race to make sure it's very raceable. Using all the truck there. Wow, look how much time I gained on that right-hander. That was insane. You can tell I was thinking about going on the inside, but I didn't. Yeah, car looks just absolutely good. All right, guys. Well, I think this is going to be the setup. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, let me know. Oh, got a little loose there. If you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. We'll be posting this setup. The Imola setups will be done probably another 2 weeks, I would have to guess. That being said, if you guys don't want to wait, the Silverstone setups are already out. So far, 2 or 3 cars that we've used, the Silverstone setup has been a very good baseline. We have made some tweaks, but they haven't required a lot. So if you don't want to wait for the Imola setups, but you want to get started, check out the Silverstone setups and maybe try them here. That being said, these will be done in 2 weeks. But thank you for tuning in, guys. Let me know in the Discord if there's anything you guys ever want me to cover or anything specific. But until then, this is Zach from RC, and I'll catch you guys later. Have a good weekend, guys.